Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We're only 2 days out from the start of the Premier League season. What a great bit of news that is. Exciting, isn't it? Literally 48 hours, just over 48 hours before Manchester United will be kicking off this Premier League season against Leeds. Very excited about that, but we're going to get into the headlines. Solskjaer's transfer hint. He's been talking to Sky Sports News, and it's not interestingly with Sky, it's not actually an interview from May. This did happen recently. Transfer hint from him. Also Romano talking about Camavinga. So they're the two big things we're going to be talking about this morning. If you want to talk about the release of the third kit, we have released the third kit. It's Glazeronomics, isn't it? Manchester United have released the third kit before they've even released the second signing. Glazeronomics. It's all about the money. So we've released 3 new kits and we haven't even done our second signing yet. If you ever wanted a better analogy of how Manchester United work, there it is. We're about kits, not signings. Nobody's been sold. We've only made 1 official signing so far, but we've got the 3 kits out. We've got the 3 kits out. That's what it's all about. I just talk about 3 months ago. The owners of Manchester United were bricking it. They were absolutely bricking it. They're putting up barriers. They're absolutely terrified. They're panicking. There isn't talk about selling. They're on their knees. And 3 months later, they've just released 3 kits. The team viewer sponsor are over the moon. They've only bought 1 player. They're not even looking to sell players, and they've not even filled the holes of the team. You know, they've absolutely spun it around. I mean, if I didn't dislike them as owners so much, I'd actually applaud them as an outsider, how they've spun this around. I can't believe how they've gone from being in a really dangerous situation and openly bricking it to turning it around like they've turned it around. And there are even fans in our fan base who say, stop moaning, they've done a good job. I mean, no wonder they win. No wonder they win. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer hint. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been speaking to Sky, and basically he said he's very happy with the transfer window so far. However, anything can happen in football, and we've got to be ready if an opportunity presents itself. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at it. This is absolutely coming from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's mouth. Nonsense has come from Ole's mouth before in relation to it's been nonsense because it's not actually happened. I remember Ollie saying at the start of the summer, was it last year or the year before, you wouldn't believe the quality of agents with players that are queuing up at our door, and we didn't even buy any quality players. So the reality is, I don't think that Solskjaer saying that anything can happen and we've got to be ready if an opportunity presents itself, that can basically just be anything could happen. If an opportunity presents itself, you never know. This happened to me when I was a kid. Am I getting a PlayStation? No, it wasn't a kid. What was I getting? I think I wanted an Amiga 500 because I wanted to play Sensible World of Soccer, and I was like, am I getting an Amiga 500 for Christmas? You never know. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. You've just got to be a good boy and wait until Christmas Day morning. Am I getting an Amiga 500? Anything can happen. Just be ready, just in case. Be good. Woke up on Christmas Day morning. I'd been really good. Didn't get an Amiga 500. So, you know, it could be bullshit. Like, it could just be anything can happen, which means nothing can happen. We've got to be ready if something happens, but it didn't happen. So, look, it's better than Ollie coming out and saying the transfer window is closed, but to be honest with you, I think that would be a very silly thing to do on the 12th of August. United are nothing if they're not tapped into how you feel. Like, you know, they have to know how you feel. You know, if they play on your heartstrings, you'll buy a new kit. If they play on your heartstrings, you'll feel positive. If they put negativity out there, you'll be negative. That's how it happens. So if they come out now and say on August the 12th, we're not buying anybody else, every other outlet, you will be like, bloody ridiculous. Bloody ridiculous. They've not bought us a midfield. They have to do what United have done many times. They have to keep the opportunity open until August the 31st. And then when the door shuts, we all go, I can't believe we didn't buy a midfielder. But within minutes, we're like, we've just got to get on with it now, which is exactly what the Glazers want. They don't want to spend the money. They want to make money, don't they? So look, you can take Solskjaer's words that anything can happen and we've got to be ready if something does happen as a positive thing, and I think you have to do that. But I think you could also take it as a negative thing that, you know, maybe he's just saying that to make people have hope when there is no hope. I don't know. looking at it in a positive sense, he could be talking about Kieran Trippier. United really do want Kieran Trippier. They could be saying, look, he could be completely talking about Kieran Trippier. At the moment, we're not buying him. Atletico Madrid's price is too high. Anything can happen. We've got to be ready if it does. They could drop the price. Let's move. He could just be totally talking about Kieran Trippier. Nothing to do with a midfielder. It could just be about Trippier. If Atletico Madrid drop the price, we've got to be ready. That could be what he's talking about. He could be talking about the midfield. He could be talking about Camavinga. He could be referencing what Romano spoke about. Romano has basically said, Camavinga, if he wants to leave this summer, it's PSG or Manchester United. If he waits, then there's a massive race for Camavinga next summer involving Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, PSG, Bayern Munich and loads of other teams. But one thing is clear, Camavinga will not sign a new contract. And at the moment, Romano says that Rennes want 35 to 45 million euros. Now that was 30 million euros a month ago. So you can see that could be what Solskjaer's talking about. Anything can happen. We've got to be ready. That price from Rennes, the closer we get to the end of August, when they realise after August they're getting nothing for him, they might drop that price down to 30 million euro, which is suddenly 22 million pounds for someone like Camavinga, in which case United go, bang. Maybe Camavinga wants to come to United. A lot of people are saying Camavinga doesn't know what he wants to do, but if what Romano is saying is true, that the price for Camavinga at the moment is 45 million euros, that's a lot more than it was. We were led to believe you could get Camavinga for 25. Well, 45 million euros is over 35 million pounds. So maybe United are like, yeah, we do want Camavinga, but we're going to wait till the end of August because Rennes are going to have to make a decision because they're getting nothing if they don't take something before August the 31st. Maybe that's what Ollie's talking about. Anything can happen. We've got to be ready if it does. So he could be talking about Trippier, he could be talking about Camavinga, and they could be talking about the price dropping. Another Glazers masterclass. Maybe as fans we're not as clever as we think, says Mark. Glazers are cleverer than Man United fans. That's why they're still in charge after 16 years. I think any United fan, any United fan group, anybody would agree with that because United fans can't unite. That's always been the problem, and we can't sustain that united front that we had 3 months ago. It was always going to peter out, unfortunately, and it did. I mean, it was fantastic. I've never felt so positive about the United fan base as I did 3 months ago. The conversations that were going on, the relationships that were formed for that short period of time, everybody put every issue behind them and just came together. I don't think that those relationships have fractured. I just think they've been ignored now, and I think the fires have gone out of trying to make change. And ultimately, I said it at the time, I think the most important thing for the Glazers was the transfer window, because they could basically, fans weren't going to be at the ground for 3 or 4 months. They could buy a player very early in the transfer window like Sancho. They could get Varane and suddenly make people think, oh, there is going to be change. But there hasn't been a massive amount of change, and the fires have gone out, unfortunately. It's empty promises and comments like this that puts me off, Ollie. For someone that is meant to understand the fans, he must know we are sick of fake hope, says Aram. And hi Mark, could you wish my dad Will a happy birthday? We're both big fans of United and the channel. Keep up the good work, says Christian Fowler. Big happy birthday to Will. Can I just say as well, I don't know at what point we'll be putting it out today because we're very much in the hands of United today. Varane should have been announced yesterday. It will be announced today. For some reason I'm thinking midday. I think United will want to get this announcement out early. It could be later, it could be 6 o'clock. We've actually made a signing of our own for the new season today. And we have a video with that person to come out on the channel, which I'm really looking forward to. But I'm not putting it out if Varane's going to be announced around the same time. So we might push it back to tomorrow. But you're going to get Varane at some point today as well. But I was a little bit late today because I was actually recording something with that person. Out of 10, says S. Ahmed, chances Matic and Donny start on weekend. Oh, good point. Look, Matic and Donny should start against Leeds. Chances out of 10, 50-50 at best. I really do think that Ollie will bottle it and go with what he always does. I don't think he'll go with McFred, but he might go with Fred and Pogba. It's horrible that the Glazers are able to destroy our club like this. For millions, United is their passion and livelihood, and not having success or a fair chance at success has a bad effect on us fans, as NMCC. Mark, can you say well done to my brother Dylan on his GCSEs? He loves the show. He's got 7 9s, absolutely smashed it. Well done to Dylan and everyone who's done well today. Now we have the fans back in the ground. Let's hear how loud Glazers out will be. I think it will show how united or not we are. Never forget, says as Edward Walters. And at this rate, I don't think we can persuade the next generations to follow United, says Shravin. Man United are always going to be a massive club. Man United will always be a massive club. Like, we didn't win the title from, the late 60s to the early 90s, and United was still a massive club. So we'll still be a massive club. But yeah, we need to get a midfielder in the next few weeks. Is Ollie making false promises? Is he even talking about a midfielder? We'll have to wait and see. But he did say it today on Sky, or whenever it was recorded, maybe yesterday, that anything can happen in the transfer window. He's very happy with the transfer window, but we've got to be ready for anything to happen. And as I said, if I was a betting person, I'd say he's talking about Trippier's price coming down, but he could be talking about Camavinga, because it feeds in with what Romano said, I think it was last night, that Camavinga will not sign a new contract at Rennes. If he's going to move this summer, it'll be United or PSG. But Rennes at the moment want 40 to 45 million euros, which is too much for a player who's got 1 year left on his deal and he's 18 years of age. Rennes will have to pull that price down. And I think this is where United need to be ready. And I really hope that that's what Solskjaer's talking about, because we need to be ready for Rennes to say, OK, we'll take 30 million euro. Because for 30 million euro, 22 million quid, Camavinga, I mean, come on, we paid 15 for bloody Dan James. A Swansea winger. Like, are you going to really refuse Camavinga at 25 million? I mean, we've got to be all over that. And I think the next, 2.5 weeks is we are going to see prices coming down. Of course we are. We're going to see prices coming down. I mean, Zakaria is meant to be going to Everton or Arsenal for 15 million. He's got 1 year left on his deal as well. There are players we can buy out there, but ultimately, as we keep talking about, we do have too many midfielders, and none of them are actually for sale. He could be talking about the outgoings instead of incomings, says Alvin. Yeah, he could be. I still think United would like to move some players on this transfer window. The usual suspects looking to be Pereira, looking to be Lingard, looking to be Phil Jones. All of them in their own way quite difficult for Manchester United to remove. But we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But look, outgoings for me, really, Pereira shouldn't even be here anymore, let alone, why are we still negotiating Pereira's exit? Because we gave him a stupid contract a few years ago and he's very hard to get difficult with. Solskjaer has some other quotes, though, I wanted to bring you as well in the Sky interview. He says, we went the whole season undefeated away from home last year, so let's hope we get the same consistency at home as we did away. I don't think we'll get the same consistency away, Ollie, to be honest with you. I think the record of being unbeaten away for over a year is fantastic from United. It really is. Nobody else has that record. But I don't think you can really value it massively. It's a bit like Liverpool losing their Anfield record of not being beaten for 3 or 4 years. Is it officially the record's gone? But did you play in front of 50,000 Liverpool fans? No, you didn't. You played in an empty Anfield. And United's away record was brilliant and nobody else had it, so you've got to applaud it. But would we have done that playing in front of 30, 40, 50, 60,000 away fans, making it more intimidating? I don't know. If we can repeat that this year, our away form, I'll be very, very surprised. But Ollie's right. We've got to turn the home form into the away form into the home form, because the away form will be difficult to replicate. He also said we know we are in the most intense and competitive league in the world, and we have to be at the top of our game from game 1 to 38 to have a chance of winning the Premier League. He's absolutely spot on there, absolutely spot on. From Saturday to next May, there are 38 games. I wouldn't go as far as to call them 38 cup finals, because it's a bit of a cliche, but realistically we have to go into that. I mean, the interview I've just done with somebody there, they talk about that. This mentality is very important, this winning mentality. You can't be complacent, and that's what Ollie's talking about. We cannot afford to be complacent from minute 1 against Leeds to the last minute of who we play on the last game of the season. Very important that we have that intensity, and it is a very competitive league. But of course that, everything's so... We've got Solskjaer's press conference tomorrow, which I'm very excited about, because we always do an instant reaction to it. I'm very excited about Solskjaer's press conference. I don't know what time it is, actually. I need to have a look, because they used to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. Then they moved to 1:30, so I don't know what they're going to do this season. But, there's always self-reflection. And when Solskjaer says we need to be intense from game 1, and, it's a very competitive league, one of the first things that comes into my mind is, yes, we do, Ollie. We do need to be intense from game 1. But, of course, we are playing 38 games. We need to be intense and competitive. You need to rotate and use your bench. You need to, if things aren't going right, you need to change it. Did you hear Sean Y. Phillips on Talk Sport? Incredible, says Metin. I don't want to really promote Talk Sport when I know that they do it on purpose to create these sort of topics, so I'm not going to bring it in, to be honest with you. If we had a bad start, do you think there's a chance we panic buy, last minute loan, or a Cavani Agallo situation, says Aram? There's always that possibility, yeah. If we don't get a CDM and we're 6th at Christmas, will you be Ollie out, says Mark? Mate, I don't know about that specific scenario. It's a very good question because, it is the start of the season and I think it's always good to be open, but if we were 6th at Christmas and we've been playing McFred a lot, I probably would be saying, I think it's time we change the manager. Probably would. But you could be 6th in the league, unlucky, and only 5 points off second and 8 points off first. So just because you're 6th, it might not be that bad. If you're 6th and you're 10 points off 4th and you're 25 points off first, that's a failure. That's a big problem. So context is key. But ultimately, if you ask me at the end of the season if we finish 5th or 6th, Ollie's got to go. You can't finish outside the top 4. You can't finish 3rd and 2nd and then have the team that he's got and not finish top 4. So look, I think people are looking for people to pinpoint when they'd be Ollie out, this, that and the other. I don't want to be Ollie out, so I don't want to pinpoint when it would be, but I would comfortably say if we don't finish in the top 4 this season, Ollie, after 3 full years in charge, would have to go, and you'd have to be looking at somebody else, and I think anyone would agree with that. Hi Mark, I still think if we get Camavinga, we will play one of Matic or McFred. Yes, I agree with you there. I do agree with you on that one. I don't think that Camavinga comes in and starts playing in the holding midfield role. Fame, I do agree with you on that one, but at least it would be an acquisition of a midfielder. Ollie's also said that he's seen progress in the coaching staff, the playing staff in the club and how we run things, but we haven't won anything yet. That is what we are here for, which is absolutely spot on. Ollie's there on a day-to-day basis. He will know what's changed from a year ago. He will know if there is change in the coaching, change in the playing staff, change in the board. I would argue that, what Ollie's saying is right. They've not won anything. And whatever goes on behind the scenes, it's a results-based business. And maybe there is a lot of change going on behind the scenes in the board and the way the club is being run. But ultimately, I would go back and say what I said yesterday. We've only bought Varane. We've sold nobody. We've only bought Varane. Sancho, for me, was last year's signing that we did this summer because it was cheaper to do. We did all the work on the deal last year and we put it off a year. Varane was a deal we did this summer. We've done nothing else. Is that progress? It is. It is because of the quality of Varane and the quality of Sancho, but it's nowhere near what needed to be done. And it's not just about getting a midfielder, which for me was imperative. Some people felt that we needed a striker. Some people felt that we needed a backup right back. I personally wanted a top quality holding midfielder and 3 or 4 players sold. And ultimately, we don't have the top holding midfielder and we haven't sold anybody. So that, for me, isn't massive progress, but there is progress. Is McFred Ollie's go-to midfield pair in big games, says As Ahmed. Mate, if Ollie wants to go with McFred, and look, I don't want to talk about McFred too much because I don't mind Fred and I don't mind McTominay. But when they come together, it just doesn't work for me. And I don't like that word. McFred, because I don't like those 2 players. I think they're symbolic of a back 6 and a negative style of football that makes us very boring to watch. We're hard to beat, but we're boring to watch. If Ollie reverts to McFred for any games this season, and he might do it once or twice, that's fine, but if he does it consistently, then I think he runs... I don't know whether Ollie understands that results is not enough at United. If results were enough, Mourinho would have been lauded. Mourinho came second and nobody really appreciated it. Rightly or wrongly, they didn't. If Ollie thinks this is a results business at United, he's half wrong. Results are important, but playing the right way is very important as well. If he's going to pick McFred a lot next year, he's going for results. He's not going for good football. And that will be a problem for him because the fans won't appreciate that. Appreciate the answer and your responses to the community. Always a set here for you in New Zealand, mate, says Mark. Thank you very much, Mark, for that. Another quote from Solskjaer as well, just to bring you as well. He says that how much sacrifice... Sorry, he says, I'm excited by the squad. I don't think anything is beyond these boys. It's just how far we were between now and the end of the season. It's just how we fare between now and the end of the season. We know we're a good team, but we know we have a little bit to go to before where we want to win trophies. And I'm excited. And he says, how much sacrifice, how much discipline, how much team camaraderie, how much consistency, how much hard work, blood, sweat and tears, all these qualities and cliches. And they are cliches, Ollie, to be fair, because you talk about sacrifice, discipline, excited about the squad. It's about what we do between now and the end of the season. I don't disagree with Ollie on anything that he said there. You know, we're a good team, but we know we have a little bit more to go. But obviously all those quotes from Ollie are based on things that are not inaccurate. You know, players have to take responsibility, but everything he's saying there is about the players. There's no self-reflection there. And I'm not saying he should sit in an interview and self-reflect, but for everything he says about the players have got to do a little bit more. They've got to be less complacent. They've got to be more disciplined. They've got to be willing to go that extra yard. You know, he's right about that. Of course he is, but you've got to start defending set pieces. You've got to up the tempo. You've got to find a way to break low teams down. You've got to create more chances for your striker. You've got to make more substitutions. You've got to have a plan B in game more regularly. You've got to rotate your team. That's 7 things for the manager to do and the coaching staff to do. So even if the players do all those things Ollie wants, if the manager doesn't do those 7 things, we won't win the league either. So Ollie's got to be ready to make changes himself. Ollie on Football Daily. Hopefully you have one more coming in. Mark, heard anything on fan shares yet? Seems like they forget that one, says Edward Walters. No, it's all gone very quiet on the fan share front, hasn't it? Which it was always going to do. Hi, Mark. I am watching from Canada. I thank you for all the content you made over the years. You helped me through a lot of tough times. Thank you very much, Ajit, and have a good day. What really annoys me, says David Brannigan, with Ollie is that he always talks about the United way, yet he consistently avoids playing the United way. Hope he changes. Don't we all, David? Don't we all? And he's also said that sometimes the defeats in finals make you come back with extra motivation because you remember that feeling and don't want that to happen again. Sometimes when you win, you might just rest on your laurels and think it's done. We're great players. Okay. Waking up the next morning after the Europa League final was a horrible feeling. You don't want that feeling again. You don't want to lose big finals or big games. I'm made that way anyway. I'm more determined to do well. It was disappointing in the Europa League final. It was a game we should have won. There was one shot against us on target, so it wasn't like we weren't under the cosh, but it doesn't matter. The result was what it was. Mate, I think we've discussed the Europa League final. We don't need to go backwards. It's a new... I feel like I'm talking to Ollie here. Garaki. We don't need to talk about the Europa League final, Ollie, because you can talk about we should have won. We should have won. You can talk about whether we deserved to win. We didn't deserve to win. You didn't make any substitutions in 90 minutes. You didn't change the game. You didn't go for it. And we lost the game on penalties. The mistake in that final was you weren't brave enough. You were too pragmatic. And probably our last season... That was successful for you. You got second place because of that, but you didn't play the United way in that final. As for waking up in the morning and feeling bad, good. As for waking up and saying that, look, losing finals can make you better, whereas winning finals can make you rest on your laurels, that's not the United way. Don't think the team that won the treble didn't go and win the league the year after that and the year after that. You know, don't think the team that won the Champions League in 2008 didn't go and win the league again and again and again for the next 3 years. Winners win. It's a mentality thing. Like, you don't win and then forget to win. And you don't necessarily lose and find a way of winning. Sometimes people are losers and sometimes people are winners. You lose your Europa League final, you're not in a final for 5 years again. You lose the Europa League final, you go and win the Premier League. Like, there's no divine right to do it. There is massive things that need to be solved at United this season. Many of them fall on the coaches, some of them fall on the players. It's a collective. It's not as simple as we lost... next time we'll win. We lost for a reason. We came second for a reason. For me, one of those big reasons is we don't have a midfield. Games are won and lost in the midfield. And Ollie can say, I'm very happy with the teammate, but you haven't got a midfield. Like, anybody you talk to will talk about United's midfield. We can pretend as much as we want to. But look what's happened with Varane. And eventually this will happen in the midfield. But we might have to wait a year or two for it to happen. You can't sit here like we have done for the last year and say, we're never going to win anything with Maguire and Lindelof because they're not good enough. Maguire needs a top-class centre-back next to him. And you say it all year and people say, stop moaning, they're good. They've actually got a really good record. And you go, look, we're never going to win anything with them. Oh, what's happened? We've gone and bought Varane. Thumbs up. Same thing's happening with the midfield. We're never going to win anything with that midfield. And if we don't buy a midfielder, we're not going to win the league. It's as simple as that. And you can talk about having a happy squad, and you can talk about ring a roses and keeping up challenges and all that jazz and bouncing back and consistency and everything else like that. Quality is king. You know, Southampton might have had the best pre-season ever. They might be the toughest unit ever, the best mates, the biggest camaraderie, the happiest squad. They ain't never winning the league. They're probably not going to finish in the top 10 because they haven't got the quality. Football's about quality. You don't go and spend the money we've spent on Sancho and Varane if you don't need to spend it. Like, forget what Chelsea and City have done with Grealish and Lukaku. We've gone and bought 2 world talents in Sancho and Varane. If we didn't do that, would we have any chance of progressing this year? People would be moaning we've done nothing. We need a midfielder. We know this. And United need to go and do something about it fast. Mark, I'm worried that we are massively underprepared for the start of the season. We needed a CDM this season, says Ami. Next year it'll be a striker and this position will be neglected again. Well, yeah, there's no guarantee that we'll get a midfielder next year. Look how Kepa came on last night. Big risk, big reward, says Varun Raj. I'm glad that that's been mentioned, actually. And Burat says, happy morning, Mr. Goldbridge. You are very handsome like a young Denzel Washington. Well, you know, maybe get down Specsavers, mate. But yeah, the thing for me is that I saw a lot of people last night. Please smash a like on the video, by the way, and make sure you subscribe. We will be live at some point for a reaction to Varane, which I can't wait because there's loads of things I know about Varane that I want to bring into that show, but we'll wait for that. And remember when we won 7 out of 7 without Val VG pre-season beating Madrid? That season went well, says Christian. Yeah, I'm not massively worried about that. But with regards to last night, I saw a lot of United fans late last night and this morning slating David De Gea. And I thought, God, this really is the modern football world, isn't it? This really is. I'm a Barcelona fan, but now Messi's gone to PSG, so I support PSG. I'm a Real Madrid fan, but Ronaldo's gone to Juventus, so now I support Juventus. This fair weather, very shallow modern football fan that flip. I mean, look, I can flip-flop. I can flip-flop. I think everybody can flip-flop. Everyone can change their mind. That's what life's all about. But this modern phenomenon in football that is infecting our beautiful game of these people who can just change an opinion on an event and go this. Like, there was people last night saying, get rid of De Gea. And I was like, what? So what's he done? What's David De Gea done then? Basically got us to the Europa League final against Roma with a world-class performance. Oh, we lost the penalty shootout. Right. So we lost the penalty shootout because our manager didn't make any changes and didn't go for it. And now we need to sell De Gea. Because Kepa came on in a penalty shootout and saved penalties. Well, is that not Ollie's fault as well? If Henderson's better at penalties than De Gea, do you not put Henderson on for penalties? What's that got to do with De Gea? I still think De Gea is a better goalkeeper than Henderson anyway. And on Saturday, who will play in goal for Chelsea? And the following game, and the following game, Mendy. I said this before. De Gea is not a bad goalkeeper because he's not that good at penalties. How many penalty shootouts do you actually get in a season? How many penalties do you concede in a season? Kepa's better at penalties than Mendy, but Mendy's Chelsea's number 1. I ain't got no problem. Van Gaal did it in the World Cup. If you've got a goalkeeper that's better at penalties, it's like saying, let's not play Bruno because Lingard's a better dancer on celebrations. Like, you know what? If you want the dancers, Jesse's the man. If you want the better number 10, Bruno's the man. If Henderson's the better penalty taker, bring him on for a penalty shootout, but don't play him for 90 minutes because I think De Gea's the better goalkeeper. I just don't understand how people start doing these things where they go, oh, sell De Gea because Kepa came on and saved a penalty. How many penalty shootouts do you think we'll have this year? I don't actually think we'll have any. But if we do, we'll probably have one. Bring Henderson on for the penalty shootout. Got no problem with it. Mendy is Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper. Kepa will not play for Chelsea much this season. But if they get a penalty shootout, he'll probably come on because he's obviously better at penalties than Mendy. But Mendy's the better goalkeeper. How it gets twisted into Kepa came on and saved penalties, so De Gea needs to be sold. I'm just baffled by it. I'm absolutely baffled by it. That is a coaching decision. That is not on David De Gea. And we were in the bloody Europa League final because David De Gea was one of 3 players that decided to turn up in Rome, and we would have been out if it wasn't for David De Gea. Wouldn't have even been in the final. You watch that second leg, Man United against Roma. They beat us anyway, and they could have had another 5 goals if it wasn't for De Gea. So we wouldn't have even bloody been in the final if it wasn't for De Gea. I want a goalkeeper who in a match can save shots and make us win games. In a penalty shootout, I want a goalkeeper who can save penalties. That's why you can sub them if you want to. Well done, Tuchel. They won it because of that. But I presume David De Gea will start against Everton. I've not heard anything about Dean Henderson, to be fair. Mark, I just don't understand why Jordan agreed that Van Dijk is better than Vidic on Lad Bible Show. It's all about opinion, Gaurav. It's all about opinion. I disagree with that, though. Hi, Mark. I think we should sell De Gea, says James Shields. Well done, James. I'm not going to say anything else about that. What I am going to talk about is that Solskjaer's given quite an extensive interview to Sky Sports today. And he has said that anything can happen in the transfer window. We've got to be ready. There could be another signing coming in. We don't know whether that will happen. It could be a smokescreen. It could be Trippier. It could be Camavinga. It could be nobody. It could be talking about players going out the door. But at least the door is open for deals for United in the next few weeks. And Romano spoke about Camavinga and basically said if Camavinga's going to go, he's going to go to United or PSG, or he's going to wait until next summer and there'll be loads of clubs after him. Rennes will want to sell him now because they want to get some money. Camavinga will not sign a new contract. At the moment, Rennes want about 40 million euros, which is over 30 million pounds. I would suspect that PSG and United are waiting for that price to come down in the next couple of weeks. Camavinga could end up moving in the last week of the window for about 30 million euro, which is a good deal. United should hang in there to do it. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe. We are going to be live at 8 o'clock, of course. We've got a brand new addition to the channel, which I'm very excited to launch. But at the moment, we're just waiting to see when Varane gets announced, because that's going to happen at some point. And I feel that with the third kit out now, United will not want to wait till tonight to announce Varane. But remember, Chelsea are waiting to announce Lukaku. So who's going to go first? We'll have to wait and see. S. Ahmed, you think that Van der Beek could be our breakout star this year? I hope he can be, S. Ahmed. I really, really do. I really, really do. But with the signing, United might not want to go first. They might want Lukaku. I don't know what United are doing with Varane. They might put it back another day at this point. Who knows? But we've got 3 kits out. We've got 1 signing official. Glazonomics. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.